Bottom of the Sea, starring Richard Basehart, David Hedison, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Alright, boys and girls, now that the space shuttle is complete, we've got our next big project here. This is the Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea television series, Seaview, the 4-window version. Now, this kit here is a 2012 Bikesing. It originally came out in 2008. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea was on TV from 1964 to 1968. And as such overlapped Star Trek, which first came on in 1966. Now, the mission of the Seaview, aside from ocean exploration, was to deal with any sort of security threat, both the United States and the larger world, that it might encounter. And this often took the form of anything you can imagine, from international cabals, to aliens, to giant sea creatures, to magical leprechauns from the future, to ghosts from the past, and anything in between. So it was truly as much of a fantasy show as it was a science fiction show. But of course the real star of the show was the super submarine Seaview. Now the Seaview looked unlike any submarine that had been in service or was in service during that time or before. No submarines really had windows up front, and obviously they put the windows up there to give drama to the various sea creatures that the Seaview would encounter over the course of its missions. Also, these manta ray fins up front, no submarine ever had anything like that. And the Cadillac fins in the back, that's a design influence from the late 50s, early 60s. And I would say to you, at least in my opinion, that the Seaview, with the exception of the Jules Verne 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Disney Nautilus, is probably the most iconic submarine design that we've seen in film. Of course, there weren't that many to choose from, but still, it's a very, very, very cool design. About the only thing that would give you some sort of similarity with a modern submarine is the sailplanes. Modern submarines often have sailplanes up here, at least until the new Seawolf and Virginia classes came along. But certainly during the 60s, that was the dominant design feature of American subs, aside from the teardrop hull. So this one here is the 4-window version. The movie, which came first, had 8 windows, and during the second season of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the 8 windows were revised to 4, and the flying sub bay was incorporated. So the first season had the movie version, and then seasons 2 through 4 had the 4-window TV version, as we call it. And also these little blisters right here on either side of the forward hull, they were added on for seasons 2 through 4 as well. So this submarine here has a special place in my heart. I've always liked submarines, and in fact, if I hadn't gone into naval aviation as a career, then the submarine service was going to be the thing that I was going to do. So when they came out with this kit, really they designed this pretty much for me and people like me. There's no person who is more on target demographically for this model kit than me. Okay, so for me it's a home run. It's going to be a real joy to build this, and I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to try to make it something special. Okay, let's open it up and take a look. So this kit goes for $100 plus generally, but I got it I think at a show, and it had kind of a crushed box, maybe you can see a little bit here. So I got it pretty cheap, $60. That's good. Okay, so as you can see, it's a beastie. Whole sections here. Looks like part of the flying sub bay, Cadillac fins on the back. Some interior bridge area figures. Control room. Flying sub. Stand. Bottom of the manta ray fin area. Flying sub doors. Couple of 8-bladed props in here, and looks like there are a couple of options regarding the windows in the front. I think if you look at the 8-foot studio version, you've got some ridges on the windows, on the framing, and if you look at the 17-foot studio version, you don't have those. Also, I think there's an option in number of missiles on the upper rear deck, because they were different, the 17-footer and the 8-footer. Clear parts. Instructions. Now these are weak at best. A couple blow-up drawings and a lot of text. Not exactly up to standard step-by-step stuff that you would normally see. But I'm sure we'll make do. It's not a very complicated model. The most difficult part of this is going to be aftermarket and lighting. Nice little booklet here, which shows some original pictures of the 17-foot filming miniature. These are kind of valuable. Plus, I'm sure it's a nice story. Painting chart, a little advertising on the back. This will be worthwhile also. Okay, let's open up the bags. So I picked up some toys to help us out with our detailing of the Seaview. The first thing is a Paragraphics photo etch kit, and this is really nice. It has interior components as you would expect in the control room, but it also has these right here, which are what we call limber holes in the submarine world. And most older submarines have these. Modern submarines not so much, but basically they're free flood vents. So when the submarine dives, the air can escape out of these while the submarine floods from underneath. And in most submarine kits, you see them represented as indentations like so, and they're clearly not all the way through. So you can represent them by just painting these black, and that gives you the appearance of holes. But better to have the vents really go all the way through, and that's what this is going to give us. Now, there's an issue, I thought, with blending, because that photo etch brass is not exactly as thin as you might think. And I thought, well, I can probably put some putty in here and blend it in. But when I started looking at the videos of the series, this is actually represented on the actual model sub that they used to film the series underwater with raised areas here. So You know, everything should work out just fine with that. The only negative is I have to cut out all this stuff, and that's not going to be fun. And then, of course, have to glue all this on, and that's an easy enough task. We'll use some epoxy for that. And speaking of photo etch, I've also got this little kit. This is for the interior of the FS1 Flying Sub. Now, when you see this online, I saw it on eBay. When you see it, all this is painted and looks really, really nice. So I expected kind of a pre-painted piece, but then it didn't show up like that. So I'm not sure if there are decals out there for it, or whether I just have to, you know, man up and paint it. We'll have to see. I'll find out about that a little bit later when I do some more research. And speaking of decals, I got these. This is from an outfit called TSDS, and these are decals for both the interior of the control room, and exterior missile hatches and whatnot. So these look, you know, okay. I'm not 100% happy with how concise they are. They're a little bit fuzzy, but they'll do okay. I mean, it's the only game in town, so you got to use what you can get. And lastly, I have a lighting kit. Now this came from an outfit called I think Galactic Models, and it's a series of LEDs and fiber optics to allow us to light up our Seaview. Some pretty simple instructions here. I don't know how helpful that's going to be. However, it does come with a CD, and supposedly the CD is like 2 hours long, and using this gives you the basics on how to light up anything. So we'll try to incorporate all these things to make our Seaview nicer than it would otherwise be. All right.